Do you ever feel it? The strange disconnect? A capable adult on the outside, running the meeting, managing the household, holding it all together. But a scared, overwhelmed child on the inside. A child who is terrified of disappointing others. A child who flinches at the sound of a harsh voice, especially when that voice is your own. Have you ever wondered why your inner critic is so cruel, so relentless? What if that critic isn't a monster? What if it's the terrified voice of the child within you, still trying to keep you safe with old, painful rules that no longer serve you? This video goes to the absolute heart of the people-pleasing pattern. We will move beyond the symptoms to finally heal the root wound, the part of you that learned long ago that it had to be good and nice to be loved, to be safe, to survive. This is the sacred work of self-reparenting. In our conversation today, we will not be silencing this inner child. We will finally be meeting them. First, we will understand why the good child was a brilliant survival strategy, not a flaw. Then, I will show you the groundbreaking Jungian P to translate your inner critic's attacks into your inner child's cries for help. And finally, I will give you the practical tools, the 4 pillars of self-reparenting, and a simple 2-minute practice to become your own safe harbor. The goal is to finally turn around, kneel down, and become the loving, capable, and protective adult guardian that child has been waiting for your entire life. To begin this healing journey home, let us make a promise to that part of ourselves. Share your intention in the comments below. Write, "My inner child is safe with me."
To understand the root of people-pleasing, we must first understand who is truly in charge. When you hesitate to say no, when you feel that automatic pull to agree, to smooth things over, to make yourself smaller to keep the peace, who is making that decision? Is it the competent, rational adult you are today? Or is it someone much, much younger? We must meet the archetype that holds the original blueprint for these behaviors, the part of your psyche that Carl Jung and so many others have called the inner child. Now, the inner child of the people-pleaser is rarely a rebellious one. No, it is often a little adult, a hypervigilant child. A child who learned very early on that the emotional atmosphere of their home was a weather system they had to constantly monitor. They became brilliant, tiny meteorologists of the soul, constantly scanning the faces of the adults around them. Is mom tense? Is dad angry? Is there a storm brewing? This child learned that their own needs, their own authentic feelings, their own loud no were often inconvenient. They were a burden. They were a potential trigger for the storm. So, to survive, to maintain connection and safety, this child made a brilliant and tragic calculation. They learned to become easy. They learned to become helpful. They learned to become what others needed them to be. They learned to make themselves almost invisible. This is the most important thing I will say in this section. This is not a character flaw. It is a brilliant survival strategy. That child kept you safe. It deserves your gratitude, not your judgment. It signed a contract on your behalf, a primal contract written in the invisible ink of childhood tears and fears. The terms of this contract are etched into your nervous system, and they read something like this. Term 1. My needs are a burden. To be safe, I must suppress them. Term 2. My anger is dangerous. To be loved, I must swallow it. Term 3. The happiness of others is my responsibility. My job is to keep everyone okay. And the final, most important clause, my authenticity is a threat to my connection. To survive, I must wear a mask. This contract was a masterpiece of adaptation. It worked. It got you through. It helped a small, vulnerable child navigate a world that felt unsafe or unpredictable. Let's imagine Chloe, our nurse, when she was 7 years old. She comes home from school excited to show her mother a drawing she made, but she walks in the door and feels it immediately, the tension in the air. Her mother is stressed about bills, her shoulders are tight, her voice is sharp. The little meteorologist inside Chloe reads the weather. Storm warning. So what does she do? She doesn't show her drawing. She buries her own need for connection and validation. Instead, she asks, "Can I help you with dinner, Mommy?" She makes herself useful. She becomes the good girl. And the tension in the room eases just a little. In that moment, her nervous system learns a powerful lesson. My needs create tension. My helpfulness creates safety. The contract is signed again. The pattern is reinforced. Now, fast forward 30 years. Chloe is in the middle of a chaotic shift in the emergency room. She is exhausted. She hasn't had a break in 6 hours. She desperately needs to sit down for 5 minutes. A new demanding doctor, who is visibly stressed, barks an order at her to go and handle a non-urgent administrative task. The adult Chloe knows this is unreasonable. She knows she has the right to take her break. But what happens? That same 7-year-old meteorologist inside her takes over. It reads the doctor's stress as a dangerous storm, and the primal contract is activated. My needs are a burden. His happiness is my responsibility. She swallows her exhaustion. She puts on the mask of the capable, helpful nurse. And she says, "Of course, doctor, right away." She feels that familiar, sick knot in her stomach, that tightness in her throat. That is the feeling of self-abandonment. It is the feeling of an adult woman still being run by the survival strategy of a 7-year-old child. The contract has expired, but no one told your nervous system. The danger has passed, but the child inside you is still on high alert. And this is the source of so much of our anxiety and burnout. We are running an outdated operating system. A brilliant program that was designed for a different time, a different reality. The very strategy that kept you safe as a child is now the source of your exhaustion as an adult. It is the reason you feel like you are at war with yourself, because you are. The conscious adult part of you that wants to rest, that wants to speak up, that wants to be authentic, is in direct conflict with the young, powerful, unconscious part of you that believes your very survival depends on being nice. This is not a war you can win with willpower. You cannot simply command this child to stop being afraid. You have tried that. It only makes the inner conflict worse. So what do we do? How do we update this program? How do we renegotiate this ancient contract? We do it not by fighting the child, but by finally becoming the parent. But how does this old program maintain its power over us? How does it enforce the terms of the contract day after day? It has an enforcer, a loud, relentless, and often cruel voice that you know all too well. A voice that shames you when you even think about putting your needs first. The voice of your inner critic. And the secret to disarming that critic, the secret that will change your entire relationship with yourself, is what we will explore next.
How does this old, outdated program maintain its power over you? How does it enforce the terms of that primal contract day after day? It has a guardian, an enforcer, a loud, relentless, and often cruel voice that you know all too well. The voice of your inner critic. For your entire life,
You have believed this voice is the enemy. You have tried to argue with it, to ignore it, to silence it. But it only gets louder. Today, we're going to try something radically different. We are not going to fight it. We are going to listen to it in a new way. Because here is the great transformative secret of this work, a secret that lies at the heart of Jungian psychology. The inner critic that you hate is not a monster. It is the terrified voice of your inner child. Let me say that again. Your inner critic is your inner child's fear speaking to you in a distorted, harsh, and desperate attempt to keep you safe, using the only rules it has ever known. It is not attacking you. It is trying to protect you. It is a frightened guard dog barking viciously at anything it perceives as a threat to the old contract of survival. The problem is, its definition of threat is 30 years out of date. Once you understand this, everything changes. The war inside you can finally end, because you can learn to become a translator. You can learn to hear the child's fear underneath the critic's words. Let's practice this translation. Let's say you are exhausted, and a friend asks you to help them move this weekend. You want to say no. You need to say no. But the critic's voice immediately comes in, sharp and shaming. The critic says, "Don't be so selfish. A good friend would help. You have to say yes." Now, let's translate that. What is the inner child's fear underneath? The child is really saying, "Please don't say no. If we disappoint them, they might get angry. If they get angry, they might not like us anymore. And if they don't like us, they might leave us. That isn't safe. Please, just say yes and keep us safe." Do you feel the difference? The critic's voice creates shame and self-abandonment. The child's voice evokes compassion. You wouldn't argue with a terrified child. You would soothe it. Let's try another one. Let's say you make a small mistake at work. You send an email to the wrong person. It's embarrassing, but not a catastrophe. The critic immediately pounces. The critic says, "You are so stupid. You're completely incompetent. You can't do anything right." What is the translation? What is the inner child's fear? The child is screaming, "Mistakes are dangerous. Remember when we were little and a mistake meant we got yelled at? It meant shame. It meant disapproval. If we are not perfect, we will be rejected, and rejection is terrifying. Please never ever make a mistake again." Suddenly, this voice is not a cruel tyrant. It is a traumatized part of you, frozen in time, replaying an old fear. It is trying to protect you from the pain of the past by controlling the present with an iron fist. This reframe is the key that unlocks everything, because it introduces a new character onto the stage of your inner world, the one who has been missing all along. The one who can hear both the critic's harsh words and the child's frightened cries. The one who can step in between them. That is the conscious adult self. That is the part of you listening to this video right now. The wise, compassionate, and capable part of you that can see the whole picture. Let's return to our nurse Chloe, being ordered around by the stressed doctor. The critic screams in her ear, "Just do it, don't make a fuss, keep him happy." The inner child underneath is whimpering, "He's angry, angry adults are scary, just be good so he won't yell." For her whole life, this has been a two-character play, a battle between a tyrant and a victim, and the result is always the same. She says yes. But now, the conscious adult Chloe can step onto the stage. She can hear the critic's command. She can feel the child's fear. And she can do something entirely new. She can speak to them internally. She can say to that frightened part of her, "I hear you. I know you're scared. It makes sense that his anger feels dangerous, but I want to remind you of something. You are not 7 years old anymore. You are safe. And I am the adult now. I can handle this. I will protect you.
This is the act of self-parenting. It is the conscious adult you stepping in to become the calm, loving, and protective parent that your inner child has always needed. You are not seeking that safety from the doctor's approval anymore. You are generating it from within. This changes the entire dynamic. You are no longer ruled by the child's fear. You are now in relationship with it. You are its guardian. And from that place of inner safety, from that place of being your own parent, you are finally free to make a new choice. A choice that is not based on an old survival strategy, but on the present-day reality of your own needs and your own truth. But what does it actually look like to be that parent? What are the practical, day-to-day actions that build this new, loving inner relationship? It rests on 4 foundational pillars. 4 things your inner child desperately needs from you, the adult. And these 4 pillars are the blueprint for your own healing.
So, what does it mean to be the parent? What does this inner child actually need from you, the conscious adult in the room? It is not complicated. It rests on 4 foundational pillars, 4 acts of love that you can begin to practice today, which will fundamentally rewire your relationship with yourself. The first pillar is deep listening. For most of your life, when a difficult feeling has arisen, fear, sadness, anger, your first instinct has been to ignore it, to numb it, or to push through it. Deep listening is the opposite. It is the act of pausing, turning your attention inward, and gently asking, "Hello in there, little one. What are you feeling right now?" You are not trying to fix the feeling. You are simply offering it the gift of your presence. You are signaling that its feelings are no longer an inconvenience. They are welcome. The second pillar is unconditional validation. This is the antidote to a lifetime of being told you were too sensitive or that you were overreacting. After you listen to the feeling, you respond with perhaps the most powerful 4-word sentence in all of therapy. That makes so much sense. Your inner child feels anxious because you have to give a presentation. You listen, and then you validate. Of course you feel anxious. It makes sense that you're scared of being judged. I get it. You are not agreeing that the threat is real. You are validating that the feeling is real. This simple act is like a soothing balm on an old wound. It calms the nervous system. It builds profound inner trust. The third pillar is the one the good girl fears the most. It is fierce protection. The conscious adult you must become the loving and effective guardian of the child. This means using the sacred energy of your anger, the energy we have spoken of before, to set boundaries on behalf of that child. When someone makes an unreasonable demand, the child inside panics, wanting to say yes to keep the peace. The fierce protector, the adult you, steps in front of that child and says, with calm strength, "I've got this." And then you turn to the outside world and you say the gentle, firm no. You say to the child internally, "See, I will not let them overwhelm you. You don't have to please them anymore. I will keep you safe." Every time you set a boundary, you are reparenting your inner child. And the fourth pillar is the one the little adult has forgotten. It is joy and play. The inner child of the people pleaser often had to grow up too fast. They learned that their worth was in being responsible, helpful, and productive. The healing parent understands that a child's soul cannot survive on responsibility alone.
It needs play. It needs delight. It needs purposeless fun. So, the conscious adult you must give the inner child permission to be a child. This means scheduling time for activities that have no goal other than joy. Dancing in the kitchen, drawing with crayons, lying in the grass, and watching the clouds. This is not a waste of time. It is a vital nutrient. It is how you heal the part of you that was forced to be a grown-up before its time. Listening, validation, protection, and play. This is the blueprint. But how do you practice this in a real moment of anxiety, in the middle of a busy day? You need a simple, portable tool, an emotional first aid kit. So, I want to leave you with the practice you can do anywhere, anytime. I call it the 2-minute inner check-in. The next time you feel that familiar jolt of anxiety, that urge to people-please, that wave of self-criticism, I invite you to pause. Step 1, physically place a hand on your heart. This is not just a symbolic gesture. The warmth and gentle pressure of your own hand sends a direct signal of safety to your nervous system. It helps regulate your breathing. Step 2, close your eyes if you can, and ask internally, "Little one, how old are you right now, and what are you feeling?" Just trust the first number and the first feeling that comes to mind. Maybe the answer is 5 years old and scared, or 12 years old and ashamed. Step 3, listen and validate. Hear that answer and whisper back internally the magic words, "Thank you for telling me. It makes so much sense that you feel," the name of the feeling. Of course you feel scared. It makes so much sense. And finally, Step 4, reassure. This is where you, the adult, take your rightful place as the guardian. End with the most important promise you can make to yourself. I am the adult now. I can handle this. I will not abandon you. I will keep you safe. Breathe. And then, open your eyes. This entire practice takes less than 2 minutes, but its effect is profound. You have just interrupted a lifetime of habit. Instead of abandoning yourself in a moment of fear, you have come home to yourself. Instead of seeking safety from external approval, you have generated it from within. You have just, in a very real and tangible way, reparented yourself. This is the work. This is the healing. This is the path to becoming your own safe harbor.
Today, we have journeyed to the very heart of the wound, the tender, aching place inside where a small child learned that their survival depended on being nice. We have not judged that child for their choices. Instead, we have honored them. We have thanked them for the brilliant, adaptive strategy that kept you safe for so long. We have learned the great secret that Carl Jung's work illuminates for us, that the harsh inner critic is not an enemy to be silenced, but the terrified voice of that child, desperately trying to protect you with old rules. This single reframe changes the inner war into a compassionate dialogue. It allows you, the conscious adult, to finally step onto the stage of your own psyche, not as another soldier in the battle, but as the wise and loving director. And we have built the blueprint for this new relationship, the 4 pillars of self-reparenting. Deep listening to honor their feelings, unconditional validation to heal the wounds of dismissal, fierce protection to create safety in the world, and joyful play to reclaim their lost childhood. Most importantly, you now have a practice, a tool you can carry with you always, the 2-minute inner check-in. A simple, profound way to pause, connect, validate, and reassure the most vulnerable part of you in any moment of distress. This is not just a coping mechanism. This is the practice of becoming your own safe harbor. It is the act of generating the safety you have spent your life seeking from others from within. Imagine Chloe, our nurse, a few months from now. She is in another stressful situation at work. She feels that old, familiar jolt of anxiety. But this time, she doesn't automatically say yes. She excuses herself for a moment. She goes to a quiet corner, places a hand on her heart, and she checks in. She hears the voice of a 7-year-old terrified of disapproval, and instead of abandoning that child, she soothes her. I've got you. I'm the adult. I will keep you safe. She takes a deep breath, and she walks back into the situation no longer as a frightened child in an adult's body, but as a whole, integrated woman. A woman who can now make a choice based not on old fear, but on present-day wisdom and self-respect. This is the freedom that is available to you. This is the peace that you are building, one check-in at a time. This is the deepest work of the Burnout to Wholeness journey. Because as you learn to heal and protect this tender inner child, something miraculous begins to happen. The psychic energy you once used to manage your fear, to suppress your needs, to fuel your inner critic, that energy is liberated. It is returned to you. And from this newfound inner safety, a new energy begins to arise. It is not the anxious energy of trying to please. It is the calm, steady, and profound energy of your true self, your true power. But this brings with it a new and very surprising challenge. After a lifetime of learning to be small, to be agreeable, to be invisible in order to be safe, what happens when you begin to feel your own strength? What happens when you start to shine? For many of us, it is terrifying. We are not just afraid of failure. We are secretly, profoundly afraid of our own power. And that is the secret fear we must confront in our next conversation. For this week, your invitation is simple, but not easy. It is to practice the 2-minute inner check-in, just once a day, when you wake up, before a difficult conversation, or just before you fall asleep. Practice becoming the loving parent you have always deserved. To strengthen this sacred commitment to yourself, I invite you to join the community in this declaration of healing. Share this promise in the comments below. My inner child is safe with me. Thank you for doing this courageous work. The rescue mission has begun.